Hello, welcome to another IoT Central workshop. Please send any question that you might have directly in the chat, and we'll make sure to follow up with any unanswered questions using the email address you've registered with. Just a few words about Edgeables before we actually get started and dive into the topic. Edgeables is the world's leading embedded machine learning platform. It helps you build full end-to-end machine learning pipelines to accomplish a wide variety of machine learning tasks, such as anomaly detection, image classification, object classification, sound detection, and so on. You can import data from any sensors and from any places, and you can deploy your model to almost any devices. What is also really important is that you maintain control over your data and your firmware the whole time. Edgeable Studio, on its end, it's an online platform developed and built for developers, for embedded developers. It handles everything, including collecting data, training your impulse, labeling your data, performing any pre-processing calculation, and finally training your machine learning model. This end-to-end pipeline is called an impulse, and then you can test your impulse on live data with connected sensors. After, the studio will guide you through the process of creating a pre-compiled firmware or a library that you can directly import into your system or into a broader application. This impulse, or this library, includes everything, including the pre-processing code, the trained neural network, or any anomaly detection code that you might have. So you can actually perform your inference, so your prediction locally on the device without any internet access. My name is Louis Moreau, and I'm a developer relation engineer with Edgeables. In today's session, I want to show you how to connect data sources, so external data sources, so you can import data into your Edgeables projects, and then train a full machine learning pipeline. So feel free to go on docs.edgeable.com, and then on the left menu, you can navigate to the Edgeable Studio and then look for the data sources section. This will show you how to connect external data sources. So we support Amazon S3, which is the most popular protocol and service, Google Cloud Storage, or any S3 compatible system. For this workshop, I'm going to use Minio, and we are going to host that on our own laptops. But feel free to use something similar as long as you've got API endpoints and it's S3 compatible. It should work. I've been also using a couple of extra services. Feel free to test. You can then select how you want to infer. So it will automatically label your data based on the strategy you will define. So either infer from the folder name. For example, we're going to put some data in a car and in unknown folders, and then automatically the labels of the images. It also works for other kind of files, such as audio or even movements. And then, so you can define your strategy. We are going to use infer from folder name, but you can also infer from the file name. So you can put everything together and just set the labels. For example, you can put cars dot the number of your file, that's the PNG. Or you can just keep every files and label when you import it, so you can label it manually. And then I will show you how to add different actions to your pipeline, such as recreate the data explorer, retrain your model, create a new version of your project, and then create a new deployment. You can optionally configure a webhook. So once it's ready and it has been successfully accomplished all the steps of your pipeline, you can send you can trigger a webhook so you can get alerted on your other systems. So I invite you to create a new project. My project, so it's a blank project that I just created. It's called Pipelines, and you can directly go to the data sources. So as you can see, like there is no data available now on my project. If you go to the data sources, you can add a new data source. I will choose the S3 compatible, and then it will ask me to create some credentials. So as I don't have anything yet, I'm just going to show you how to host a Minio server on your side. So you can go to min.io and then look for the documentation. I'm going to use Docker. It's probably the easiest way to do that. And I'm going to select the rootless. So I will need to create a folder under my home folder, which is called minio/data. This already done it, and then you've got only one command to run. So terminal. I'm going to zoom so you can actually see what I'm doing. And I'm going to do that. So I will just change the Moreau root user and root password. I will just put examples here, and then user Louis. Here it will expose the API on the port 9000 and the web interface on the port 9090. I'm just going to show you how to do that. Okay, so if I'm going to the, I can just go to the console, so it tells this one, 1990. This one won't be exposed publicly when you are going to use AngieWorks later. Let me just try. So it was Louis and password was Edge-Impulse. Okay, great. I can now create a bucket. Let's call that bucket EI pipeline variable. And I don't mind about those. This is empty. Okay, great. And now it's hosted locally on my laptop. What I want to do is to expose it over the internet. So for this, I'm going to use ngrok, which is a service that is pretty useful. And the API ports that I want to forward over internet is on the ports, I said 9000. So I'm going to do this. So this will be my endpoints that I can configure from here. By default, Minio set the region to EU is 1. Bucket name, I call that EI pipelines. And then I need to create access keys and secret keys. So for this, I'm just going to go back on the Minio console, and I'm going to create the access keys. So create access keys. That will be the access key. This will be the secret key. Okay, and to validate, so create. That's right. Okay, it's here. And if I'm going back to my buckets, so EI pipelines, I can browse that. It's empty. So I'm just going to do a slash, and I'm going to verify the current. Specify bucket does exist. EI pipeline. Okay. Verify credentials. Okay, great. It has been created. So what I want to do now is to create a new path. So for this project, I will just create image classification project that will recognize cars from unknown images. So cars creates, and in that core thing, I will add a couple of images. I've got here are several. Okay, I'm just going to add, let's say, 10, 12 items to get started with. Okay. And I'm going to go back and create a new path, which will be unknown. And in this one, I'm just putting some random images, such as those are things that are not cars. I'm just going to select 12 again. So I'm putting this. So now my bucket is containing 2 folders. So one folder contains my cars, and my other folder contains my unknown pictures. I will choose to label inside my Edge-Impulse project the data from the folder. You can choose another strategy if you want. I can next I will do everything, although my impulse is now empty, so it will probably fail. This does not matter. We'll create it later. And webhook, I don't need to create a webhook now, and I'm going to create the pipeline. So if I want to run the pipeline now, I'm just going to see what it will do. So it will start by fetching all the data from my S3 buckets. Should take a couple of seconds. Okay. It will refresh the Data Explorer. Well, I haven't created the Data Explorer yet, nor train a model, so it will probably output some errors. What I just want to show you is how it behaves like in the data acquisition. So now I've got my cars and unknown pictures with the right label. So I've got some data in my test data as well. It doesn't been split properly, but this does not really matter. I will just create the first impulse quickly, so you can see how we can retrain it over time. And as you add more data, the model will get better and better over time. So I'm going to do transfer learning images, and I'm going to save the impulse. The image tab, I can choose the RGB, save the parameters, generate the features. I've got only a couple of items. So obviously, the accuracy in the first iteration will be awful. Or at least I expect that. Okay, and now I'm just going to train my impulse. So here we're using the transfer learning, using the backbone MobileNet v2, using 96 by 96 images with an alpha of 0.35. I'm not going to enter into the details. Feel free to watch the other videos that we created in the past, so you can get a better understanding of how this works. So now the model is fully trained. I've got 100% accuracy, which is strange because I've got only a very few amount of data. This doesn't matter. I will just go to the model testing and we'll test it on data that's been unseen to the model, just to maybe get a better understanding. Okay, so this has a good accuracy too. It does not really matter. Now I'm going to show you how to actually run the full pipeline. Okay, so refresh the Data Explorer. It has actually created a Data Explorer iteration. I've got only a couple of data. I'm going back to the data sources and retrain the model. Obviously, the model was not trained before, so it stopped in the pipeline there. Now I'm going to just add some more data. So in the unknown, let's say a bucket folder in the bucket, I'm just going to add some more data. So everything has been added. But now a bit more information, and same for the cars. That's great. So let's check cars. I've got a couple of information. Now, what I want to do, let me also create one new folder, which is pen label. So if I want to put some pen labeled like info, so those are cars, but I don't want them to be labeled. I want to manually label those. So I can run again my pipeline. Currently in progress. Okay, so now I actually ran the pipeline twice. So this is why there is only 23 new items. And some items were already available within my my dataset. So now it has refreshed the Data Explorer, retrained a model, created a new version, and created an on-device deployment using the C++ library. So if we go back to the data acquisition and we have a look at the Data Explorer, as you can see, there are much more data, and some data are still unlabeled. So the one from um, the unlabeled folder. So just I have both cars. Those cars were actually present, so that's why I trained twice. And then I put some unknown data to be enabled. And as you can see here, you can can see, so you can set the label and you can say unknown, set label. You can do the same, set label unknown. It will actually do the same for those who are really close in the Data Explorer. And set label unknown, no, that's known. Etc., etc. So I'm not going to do that for all of those, but then you can save the changes, and then all your images will be saved. This one is unknown. It looks like it's around the same. Great. So now if I want to check my transfer learning, so the accuracy, so it's not 100% anymore, but based on the number of data, I think it's way better. So it has a 92% accuracy on the cars and 100% accuracy on a node. And if I'm going to go on the model testing and classify all in my test data, that has been unsynced to the model. Okay, so I've got a 98% accuracy, which is fairly good considering that in my dataset I've got only like 291 items. So my model has been only trained with 291 images. This also created a version. Or here I just added a couple extra in the very last iteration of training the pipeline. This is great. And then the deployment, it also created a deployment, so C++ library that you can retrieve. So then if you want to, from your data source, if you want to edit it, you can edit the pipeline. And here you can see that it could be a bit complex because all the steps are actually written programmatically. So all the steps are an object. And if you don't want to refresh the data set, you can just set it to no, or you can just recreate it from scratch if you want. You can send an email to once the pipeline has been retrained. So here, user to notify, that's me, and you can create a webhook. If you want some more details on how you can configure the steps, again, you can go back to the documentation, and at the beginning, you can just copy paste. So for example, if you forgot to tick one thing and you don't know how to write it, so that's the name, refresh that explorer, and it's a built-in transformation block. And you can, so that project action and refresh that explorer is set to true. If you are part of an organization, so the enterprise features, you can also use some of the custom blocks, so data transformation blocks that can be really useful. For example, if you got all the reference of your images in a CSV file and you want to label them from that CSV, depending on your strategy, or if you've got some custom code, You can also run the enterprise transformation blocks from the pipeline. So that's really useful. That's it for me. I hope you understood how you can create data pipelines and import data from external sources. This is part of your active learning strategy. So when you have devices on the field, you can set, uh, for example, let's say 5% of your device, you will define them to send continuously some data. And over time, you can train again your models. So your model will get better and better and better over time. And this is really important. As you know, machine learning projects are really iterative. And as the time goes, you get some improvements. Thanks again for attending this session, and also want to thank IoT Central for hosting this workshop. You can find more workshops about Edge Impulse and microsessions on iotcentral.io, where this video will also be available on demand starting from tomorrow. If you have any questions, you can go to forum.edgeimpulse.com. I will be happy to answer your questions or one of my colleagues. We also love what you build, so feel free to share how you implemented your active learning strategies using the data pipelines. Thanks again. That was Louis from the Edge Impulse Developer Relations team.